Thank you very much for joining me on the Security Space podcast today. What we will be discussing is how to thrive and survive in an M&A. But before we kick off into it, Salvatore, are you okay just to let the audience know a little bit about your journey up to this point?
Yes, so thanks Nick, first for having me here and inviting me to the podcast. A little bit about myself, born and raised in Rome, but lived a little bit everywhere, mostly in London. Been a startup enthusiast for the past maybe 10 years, working in really early stage companies as first employees funding team. So really an exciting journey from 0 to 1, what usually they call it 0 to 1. So absolutely interesting period of my life. And now part of Keyless, which is probably what we're going to discuss today.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, that segued perfectly then. So so your role at Keyless, what are you doing and what problem does the company actually solve?
So in Keyless, I'm chief of staff, so working very closely with the CEO and founder on anything that is strategy related, strategic planning, and generally facilitating the CEO job. So kind of a sparring partner and extension of the founder and CEO. What Keyless does, Keyless is actually a very revolutionary technology. We have a biometric authentication platform. So basically we allow to any access to any digital service or physical service with the simplicity of the biometrics, with our technology that enable the privacy preserving part. So making sure your biometric data, your face basically is always protected. It's never shared or stored anywhere. And we do this with a really nice and simple UX. So you look into the camera similar to what Face ID does. At the same time, we provide digital identity assurance for the provider we work with. So mostly banks, if you think of that.
Okay, interesting stuff. So yeah, let's kick into it and probably give a bit of context to the audience as to why we actually chose this title then. So just to go back over it, how to thrive and survive in an M&A, so a merger and an acquisition. So yes, Salvo, talk to me about your experiences with an M&A then.
Yes. So Keyless is actually a very, very interesting story. Back in November 2021, we've been acquired by a US unicorn, Sift, in the space of digital trust and safety. We were very early stage at the time with the technology we were developing, finding the product market fit at the time, with obviously a lot of excitement about the interest of the space and the fact that privacy and biometric were really hot in the general cybersecurity space. So yes, in November 2021, we received actually a couple of acquisition offer. We accept Sift one because it was the one that at the time was making more sense in terms of synergies. But what was good at the time is that since we were developing a new product, new technology, the deal was that we would remain fully independent. So keep operating as an independent entity, getting funding from Sift. And so this allow us basically to keep working the way we were used to, even during the first integration phase, basically with the US company.
Okay, so interesting. A couple of things I just want to pick your brains on there then. So obviously you had a couple of acquisition offers, the Keyless back in November 2021, well, probably a bit beforehand. And you mentioned the keyword synergies, as to why you obviously went with Sift in the end. Just unpick that a little bit more, because is it not just, okay, go to the highest bidder? Is there a few other things that you have to think about here?
Yes. So I think this was obviously part of the decision of the board, but mostly part of the vision of the company. So as you mentioned, it's not just about the highest bid, but it's more about what do we envision for Keyless in the future. So where do we want to be, and which partner allow us to get there faster or better. So we decided to pick one of the offer that was probably not even the highest in terms of economic value, but was the most interesting for us in terms of development for the market. So going to the US, but also because they had a larger platform for the cybersecurity space, where we could basically bring an extra capability that would revolutionize what they were already doing pretty well. So our goal was basically trying to find someone that could be a good partner and a distribution channel as well. So bringing the knowledge of what they've done before, and at the same time allowing us to plug and play with what they already had.
Okay, okay, interesting then. So, just to move it forward then, obviously, when that happened then at this time, in the sort of late 2021, early 2022, did a lot of the team, like you say, it sounds like you guys were under the impression that, cool, where you guys keep doing all the amazing work that you guys are doing, and we'll sort of leave you guys to do it. And was that what happened? Was you kind of left to with a lot of autonomy, or was it not as you quite imagined?
Well, obviously there are some things that you don't expect during the first phase of meeting the new team, the new company, try to understand how you can work together. So obviously there were some things, some bumps over the road, but overall I would say that we were living the best of both worlds. We had the full autonomy of a young startup doing things the way we wanted to, but at the same time, sort of the safety net provided by a larger company who already did that step in terms of growth, so we could learn a lot. It was actually very beneficial for us. We learned a lot from their previous experiences, and we managed at the same time to have the flexibility to keep doing things our own way, which obviously was great for us at the time because we were still, and we still are, a small company that is growing fast.
Yep. And how old was Keyless when you guys actually got bought back in 2021?
At the time, we were 2.5 years old, so
Yeah.
very, very young,
Okay.
with a product that was already on the market, but at the same time, we were trying to find the right spot for our technology. So it was really early stage, definitely. We
Yeah.
had huge growth, but early stage.
Okay. And you said something there that was interesting, just about the products and in time with the market, because I speak to a lot of early stage vendors, and timing of the product on the market seems to be like very key to the lifespan of an early stage vendor. Like you say, all these AI vendors that are blowing up now have probably been born in the minds of all these great founders well before now. Well, like we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. But they just had to wait for it to penetrate the mainstream before the market was ready for it. Why did Keyless sort of accept the bid? Is it the safety net? Is it the knowledge sharing of why you actually decided to go down the M&A route?
Well, because for us was what we thought was the necessary next step for the hyper growth we were looking for. We see that our technology was recognized in the market as good, as actually unique. The industry itself, the sector was very hot, was booming, and as a European company, we know that sometimes the fight is with larger US corporation, and they have a very different firepower. What usually I say that what for us could be a great Series A or Series B in terms of funding, it's a pre-seed funding for a US company. So we knew that what we had in terms of technology was advanced, but we didn't want to lose that advantage in the market. So we wanted a partner, a player that could speed that up, sort of let us stay ahead of competition. And we thought that was the good way to go.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So obviously, from our chats, we knew that that wasn't the end of the story. That the credits did not roll then for Keyless. So talk to me about what happened after you guys actually got acquired, because there's another chapter to this, isn't there? There's a part two.
Yes, but actually, that's why I said the Keyless story is a roller coaster. Uh, let's say 1.5 years after the acquisition, so May 2023, we split from Sift. There was a demerge operation, and the reason for that, I mean, there's plenty of reasons for that, but mostly is that 2022 was a bad year for tech. It was a big crisis. So obviously, every company was trying to reshape, redesign the way they work, the way they need to think about their growth and their next steps. And obviously, in terms of this reorganization, our goals didn't match anymore Sift goals. So there was no longer the synergies we were thinking could be beneficial for us. We decided at the time that the US market was not as mature as we thought for what we wanted to do, because regulation was much stronger in Europe and we were working with the regulation. So it wasn't easy to come to that decision. That would be the best decision for both companies. So it took a while of back and forth of discussing with them what was the most suitable and best option on how to proceed. But in the end, and this again, I think it's mostly our CEO and founder merit. We decided this was the best option for us and for them, and we made it happen. Because as you may be aware, sometimes the easiest path or the best path is not the one you pick anyway, because it's not easy to go there. What's ideal, it's not necessarily easy. So it was a long discussion with Sift, but we decided to part ways very amicably. I'm actually very happy to I've learned recently that they're growing pretty well, again, pretty fast. So it was an exciting time, the whole acquisition, but at the same time, it was hard to realize that it was no longer a good time to keep going together. So we got the company back. Full equity restored as it was before the acquisition. So at the same time, this was also giving back to the employees, to the team, beside the investors. And so as May 2023, we got back being a standalone company. As I said, the acquisition, the great part of the acquisition was that we were still operating as an independent entity. So in terms of day-to-day operation, there was not a lot of changes. That obviously helped for a smoother transition out of the merge.
Yeah, that was literally going to be my next question. So how different was the Keyless of May 2023 to the one of November 2021? How sort of different was the company?
So during the 18 months of being together with Sift, I think what really changed was sort of the governance part, reporting, so tracking what we were doing in a more structured way, because we were sort of a cog within their mechanism. So still independent, but still part of a larger group. So when we split in May 2023, what really changed was the fact that we were still a young company growing with a clear goal, clear technology, but with a much better structure in terms of internal organization. So definitely was, I always say that it was probably business-wise, we may have lost some time, but we learned a lot in terms of organization, setting the foundation for what then has been the growth of the past 12 months. So I think that was beneficial for us, was actually critical for our success today, everything that we learned in those 18 months.
Yeah. Okay. And financially, did either company, whether it be Sift or Keyless, going through a demerge, like how does that actually work? Because like you say, the Sift have to obviously invest a lot of money to acquire a company like Keyless. How does the demerge work, and how does the finances work around that?
So there are plenty of ways that can go. The details of this are part of a confidential deal. But what I can, so when from the day we were again on our own, we already had secured some funding to allow us to go for the next 12 to 15 months. As I said, I think that was the good part, because being independent during the acquisition meant that we were still going through our own customer list, that obviously provide us with some cash that is always great for startups. We were able to get some grant funding based on our technology, some R&D relief funds. So obviously we were still trying to be independent also financially. So that helped obviously in the long run.
Okay. Yep, makes perfect sense. And obviously, when we were speaking a few minutes ago, you mentioned that back in 2021, the market was still sort of the product was quite new for its time. Now that we're speaking in sort of late 2024, this will probably get released in the early weeks of 2025. How has the market changed in the appetite for Keyless's product?
Yeah. So there's a couple of aspects to this question. At the time, 2021, we had a very strong technology. We could see a need in the market for this technology, but it was very wide. We could have applied it to pretty much any industry, any size of companies, because everyone needs to authenticate themselves, make sure that the person is who they claim to be. Everyone likes that is privacy preserving, so GDPR compliant. But at the same time, as I said, it's very widespread in terms of use cases. So what we realized, and what's is that the financial services are leading the switch, the change in mindset for privacy and for authentication. So we decided to focus our resources because as a startup we have limited resources, whatever it is, manpower or financial resources or time resources.
Mm.
And we decided to focus on that specific market with a couple of great partners that sort of believed in us from the beginning.
Yep.
And focusing on that, we realized there was a niche in this authentication lifecycle that could be an amazing entry point for us. All of this mixed with the fact that after 2021, after COVID, where a lot of things moved to the digital version of themselves, phishing, scams attack became really an important topic. Fraud skyrocketed in terms of values, in terms of numbers. So there was a lot of attention from everyone on protection of this. So authentication was authentication as a mean to sort of protect yourself from fraud. And obviously, who's the industry where the frauds are most relevant in terms of economic value? Financial services, banking, cards payment, recover your account of any digital service where you have linked a wallet that you can make a payment. So we sort of found the right match that is sort of leading our growth in the past 12 months.
Nice, nice. So yeah, talk to me about sort of how's Keyless's 2024 been for you then?
Okay, 2024 is not done yet, so we have a very busy couple of weeks in front of us before Christmas at least. But we almost more than 10x our revenue from beginning of the year, which is amazing, not only in terms of company growth and value, but also for the excitement of working with this team for the past 12 months. We've seen we're basically collecting all the hard work of the past. We always knew this was going to happen, but obviously you go through a lot of up and downs of emotions, the roller coaster of the acquisition, the merge, and now you're actually seeing that all the hard work is paying off.
Mm.
So it's been very successful. I think this, especially the past couple of quarters, redefine our success in the market, really rewarding for what we've done. And also the recognition in the market in terms of usability of our product, seeing that our product, regardless of the revenue that obviously are interesting for a startup because that's how you keep growing, but seeing that your product is being used by maybe 10, 20, 30K of users at some point, and then now it's millions of
Yep.
users. That's what makes your startup journey rewarding. The fact that you're actually seeing your product. I always say that I work in cybersecurity. It's very hard to explain to my mom what we do. It's hard. Now she's using the mobile banking app of the bank she used, embedded keyless. And so she's using keyless to authenticate. And she
Okay.
said, oh, that's what you do. So that's obviously was a rewarding moment. And I think it's been like this for everyone in the team. And so definitely a good year. But
Nice. Good.
2025 will be even bigger.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. I can't wait to see it as well. And look, do you guys would you go through another M&A, or is the plan now to just keep growing organically and then essentially look for an IPO and an exit? What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, as I said before, M&A for us is it's just a path like anything else for reaching our goal. Obviously, we'd be probably more careful now, but for us, the M&A was never just a financial mean. It's a growth mean. It's an opportunity for us to get where we want. We want to be the leader, the standard for authentication everywhere. We want to make sure that your privacy is protected, but at the same time, you can access everything and everywhere with simplicity. And we want to be everywhere. We want to be the standard, the de facto standard in the industry. So anything that can help us reaching this goal is welcome. Whatever it is an M&A, whatever it is a partnership, whatever it is injection of fundraising from large VC. And obviously, we have a lot of conversation going on in terms of fundraising. The fact that we're very healthy financially makes this conversation easier because we don't have the rush of, most companies, most startup, obviously they always look to fundraise to sort of boost their growth. They need money to keep running. We're very healthy financially, and that makes every conversation less hard. It makes things easier for us in terms of negotiation, in terms of picking what we want. It's not just picking what we have, but we have options, which is it's obviously a lucky thing to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pretty much my last question for yourself, all then, is look, there might be a founder of an early stage vendor that listens to this podcast, and they might be in a situation where they are weighing up going down the M&A route. What advice would you give to them? And say like, look, if you are going for it, do X, Y, and Z, or look, does your company actually need to go down this route, or could you go down a different route? What advice would you be? Because you've obviously been through a merge and a demerge.
Yeah. Well, I think it really depends from case to case, but what's important when making this decision is not going through the easy route. Really understand that you're giving your own thing, your company, to someone else, and you need to make sure that that someone else will treat it the same way you would. I think what made things work for Keyless was the culture we built. That obviously takes time. The founders, both of them, are really spending time, effort, resources to make sure that culture within Keyless is important. And whenever you go out, you partner with someone, you need to make sure that that culture is still valued. You're not going to lose your values within the acquisition. I think that's important. Obviously, there may be many reasons why someone decide to go to the route of M&A, and any reason is different, and every reason has obviously different constraints. But I would say that overall, if you do that to boost your growth, to keep going, to reach your final goal, your vision, your mission, you definitely need to find someone that match your values and culture, or at least make sure you don't lose them in the larger play of the acquisition.
Perfect. Some absolutely golden advice there that you've shared for us today, Salvo. So look, we've come to our time. I've drilled you with questions there, but it's been really, really, really interesting to obviously hear about yourself and obviously Keyless's journey, and I can't wait to see the growth for you guys in sort of 2025 as well. But look, if anybody has any questions that Salvo sort of highlighted today, I'll be sure to put his information down below, as well as Keyless's as well, so you can check them out as well. But once again, Salvo, thank you very much for coming on the Scooter Space podcast.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks for having me.